We will kick off in respect to the people that have arrived smack on time.
I love your command.
Yeah. Command activator responsibility. Like I sit here and every second's an itch to kind of get started and let's get this going.
Spot on.
So yeah, thank you everybody for coming and joining and hearing and sharing on going deeper with Cascade. Big thanks to Richard for coming along and sharing this with us. So obviously he was on, I know, 12 hours ago when we did the US session, his yesterday, my this morning. So 2 sessions in one go. We had 53 people, I think, at one point on that session this morning, and lots of questions. And I was juggling chat and letting people in the room and all sorts. I muted everybody at one point by accident, including Richard. So I learned a lesson there that don't hit the mute all button because it mutes the speaker. But I'm not going to kind of hang around and say much. I am literally going to hand over to Richard. Oh no, hang on, before I do that, Richard's going to, you'll probably say it yourself, Richard. Richard's going to dive into 3 particular areas of Cascade. If you have any questions, I think since it's a smaller group, it'll be a bit easier to manage. But if you've got any questions, if you wouldn't mind holding them or popping them in chat, and then I'll just kind of like collate them so that when Richard pauses and goes, have we got any questions, we're ready for them, versus asking them as we go and maybe getting a little bit off track. So sort of hold them for the moment. He'll cover 3 key areas. We'll then cover the questions, and then people can share maybe what they're using certain tools for as well. So I'll kind of play that moderator role, collating some of the questions in chat. But otherwise, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Charlotte, very much. And thank you all for coming today, whether it's your early morning or late evening or wherever you are in the world. It's nice to have, so many friends here. It's nice to have you all here and things. And thank you, Charlotte, very much for organizing the session for today and so on. And I don't know if you're aware, Charlotte does a lot of coach-to-coach sessions. So if you need some help with your coaching in delivering team sessions or just any other form of coaching aspects, Charlotte is brilliant for that. So do reach out to her if you want to get in touch to improve your coaching in that way. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at 3 areas of Cascade, and the first one being the theme table, where we get the themes into the Cascade products. The second area being the team grid. There's quite a lot going on behind the scenes in the team grid. And the third area is going to be looking at the menu, some of the settings and some of the sort of the features that you may or may not have come across in the past. I'm aware that some of you know Cascade pretty well. Some of you are just starting out on the journey. So I will try and pitch a balance to capture everybody's level. But if you find that it's going too fast for you, or you just need a breather, grab your coffee, grab your glass of wine, depending what time zone you're in. And then yes, it is being recorded, so you can catch up on the recording. With that. So let me share my screen and just make sure that we've got this available. Yes, excellent. So I can share, hopefully get the right screen and get going. So hopefully you should be able to see my screen, which is coming up at the moment. And when you receive Cascade, this is the page, the welcome page, which you would normally see. And there is a button up here called Click Here First. It says that for a reason, because actually when you get Cascade, by clicking there first, that does actually set up 1 or 2 little bits and pieces for you. It checks that you've got the right version of Office, and it also pops in the folder path for creating PDFs as well, just to save you some time later on. So worth doing that. So that's tip number 1. Click here first when you see that coming up on the screen. Sometimes when I'm sort of working with people and I have lots of Zoom sessions with people, they share their screen and it looks something like this, and they're trying to read the tiny writing which is on here. And I'll just go over just 1 or 2 Excel things that you can do just to make things easier. If you've got a great big box here, this is a formula bar. There's a tiny little arrow up to the top. You can click on that and that reduces it down in size. And also at the ribbon, you've also, it takes up quite a lot of space at the top. There's another little arrow which you can click on. You can also do Control F1, which is a really quick keyboard shortcut to hide or show the ribbon. And it's just nice sometimes to get rid of that. And then for completeness, and just when I'm using this in presentation mode, I would then just untick the formula bar. But you don't have to do this, but I just like to do this when I'm presenting, just so that it looks really nice and neat at the top on there of the screen. To enlarge the screens, there is a zoom bar at the bottom with the percentage, and you can click on the plus and minus. It's probably best to click on the plus and minus rather than use the slider, and then increase it to whichever size is appropriate for the screen you have. So those are just a few sort of housekeeping bits which are quite useful. And certainly with the zoom slider, that is independent for each page within Cascade. So do set it up so you can see everything nice and clearly and you can get to everything. So now that we've got a nice clean screen on here, we're going to look at the theme table first and then see how we can use this more effectively. So yes, you can copy and paste from one of the Gallup export files and to paste people into here. There is the import themes button. We've had that button there for quite a while. Some people have only just discovered it. And essentially what you can do is you can click on the import themes. You can find the file of the Gallup export file that you have saved from the Gallup portal. Normally they are called community, access community, and then the date. That's normally the format. And I'm just going to pick this file, which I've prepared earlier, which we're going to just click on and open. And what we will see, it shows you the file to see whether you want to include it. Those of you who are very acutely aware of what's been going on with Gallup, there's no date field here at the moment. They have just put the date field back in. Cascade is clever enough to work out if there's a date field or not a date field, and will bring in the data accordingly. That was a change they announced one day, implemented it the next day. Caused me a few little bits of headaches, but fortunately it all fitted and it worked out okay on that. So yes, we want to import this into Cascade, and we click on yes. And then it's going to ask us, do we want to check for duplicate names? So the people we're bringing in, do we want it to check to see if they're already in Cascade? If you know that they are unique people and they're new people coming in, you can just say no. Also, if you have a huge number of people in the theme table here, it does take a bit of extra time each time it brings somebody in, because it's got to search to see if that person already exists. So if you've got a lot of people you're bringing across, you may also want to say no, because it will just be that little bit quicker on that. I'm going to say yes, we do want to check. And it's noticed already that somebody we're bringing in, Crispy Bacon, you'll hear a lot about him or her later on today. And we've got Crispy Bacon already here, and we're going to bring, it says, do we want to skip this duplicate name? Normally we would say, yes, we want to skip them, but I'm just going to say, we'd say, yes to skip them, but I'm going to say no, because I want to bring that in, and then I'll show you what we do when we have a duplicate and how we deal with that. So it's just sorting itself out, and what it's doing is it's sorting out the resetting the formatting, and so it's just going to make the screen look nice and neat as well. It is actually doing a slightly different check, and I'll come on to that check in a moment, what that check was doing. That's why it's taking a little bit longer. Do we want to refresh the team grid? Normally we would say yes, but just for today's example, I'm just going to say no, and I'll come on to why we say yes later on when we look at the team grid. And so it says it's imported 2 rows. So we can see here that we've got Crispy Bacon in here twice, and having duplicates in here is not a good idea. It's best always to have unique people in here, because the way Cascade works is that it looks at the people in the theme table, it goes down the list. As soon as it finds the first occurrence of the person, it then uses their themes. If there's a second occurrence of that same person, it won't reach them. And so having having somebody in here twice is best not to have for this. So if we've got somebody who's in here twice, what's the best way of actually getting them out of here or deleting them? It's not possible to click on the whole row and press delete. So what we have to do is, in the green section, just literally highlight their name and all their themes. And you do need to run right down to theme 34 if you've got all 34 themes in here, and then just hit the delete button or the backspace key, and that will just clear the data from there. So now we've got a scenario where we've got a blank row. And again, it's not good practice to have a blank row in here. And so it's best to actually remove the blank row. The easiest way to remove a blank row is to sort this information by one of these columns. And so say if we just sort it by first name, we can click on the A to Z button, that just sorts it, and the blank row has now disappeared to the bottom, and effectively we can't see it. So that's a good way to actually clear any duplicate names, get people in here, and just make sure that you've got no blank rows. So you've got a good set of data to work with. Just a couple of extra things that you may or may not be aware of. We imported from one of the Gallup export files from their portals. They have lots of different export files, whether it's Strengths Quest or whether it's My Gallup for corporates, or whether it's Gallup Access, and then the older Gallup Strength Center. They're all slightly different formats. Cascade can recognize all of those. It can also recognize a previous version of Cascade. So if you click on import themes and find a previous version of Cascade, it'll then pull all your themes and people in from that version, which is really handy when doing an upgrade from one version of Cascade to the next. What it also does, if you are going to bring it across from an earlier version of Cascade, it will bring in all the information in the blue section here, where you've set up the search criteria for different people, so that you can then select them in the team grid. Something which Nicole prompted me to do with the German development that we're working with is that in Gallup Access, if you're working in, say, the German, French, or Spanish languages, when you do the export file, it actually exports all the themes in those languages. And so this is now clever enough. This is on the latest version, which is coming out next month. So you can actually import the German themes in German, and what it does is part of the import process, it will translate the German themes into English. And so that covers both German, French, and Spanish on there. So that's something where Nicole and Ralph and Marisol were mentioning this, and they said, can we import from German? So we did some work and we were able to get that sorted on there. So I think that is most of the aspects from here within the theme table. I'm just going to touch on a small piece. A few people asked the question where you're setting up, say, different departments, somebody working in different departments, or you're setting up this criteria to then select people. How do you deal with the scenario of somebody who's a member of two different departments, and somebody, for example, who's in marketing department and in the sales department? How do you sort of work with that? And we haven't found a definitive way, but we found a way that seems to work at the moment if you just have to use one of these columns. So what we've done is that we've got the sales department and we've got the marketing department and people in there. And then we've got a couple of people who are in both marketing and sales. So all we've done is we've just put both the department names or the team names in this column. And so when we move to the team grids, and we head off to this, and then when we want to do our selection, we can then say that we want everybody from marketing and we want the people who are in marketing and sales, and then we click on that, and we can then see that we get the people from marketing and we get the people from the sales team as well. So if we were to say, so we've got in here Jerry Can and Crispy Bacon, and then if we say that we want to look at the sales team, we can then do it. So we've got marketing and sales, and we've got sales, click on that, and we've got some other people, but we've still got Jerry Can and Crispy Bacon. I do apologize for the names. It's just one of those things I do on there.
Richard, may I ask something for a second, please? What if one person is a leader in one, like for one area, and just a part of another group in another area? It doesn't mean that there are two departments in that sense. You know what I mean, like the difference. So how can we make sure that we can cover that?
That's a good question. And there are lots of different dynamics that you can have. I don't quite know exactly how you can get around that area, but we do have the 4 different columns you can play with, and you can work with those. And of course, if you've got your selection here, you can always go down and just individually tick or untick a particular name, if that helps. I don't think I can answer your question directly, but I think just playing around, maybe using something like this, on there, or maybe if someone's found a way forward with this, then do share that on there.
Richard,
Okay.
I had the same question. Like, if I have, for example, somebody who works in like 2 companies, for example, at the same time, would it then make sense to have them there double, basically?
I think in that scenario, if they're working in 2 different companies, then you may have to have them in twice. And the best way to have them in twice, if you do have to do this, is to make sure that one name is just slightly different from the next name. So whether you can put an initial after, so sort of put an initial say in there or something like that, just so it's slightly different for the second person.
You could maybe put a brackets afterwards with the company name. So,
yeah, that's a good idea, Susan. Thank you for that.
Bank,
yes.
brackets
Barclays.
Barclays.
Yes.
I like your names.
I need some more names, actually, so I think that's going to be a Friday afternoon activity at some point to try and have a brainstorm on a few more names. On
you
there,
could have a competition with it. A competition.
That's a good idea. We'll do that. Save that for the Facebook group or something like that on there. Okay, so lots of different ways how you can do that, and it's really just sort of trying to follow some of those guidelines. So try not to have duplicates, and certainly try and avoid the blank rows as well with that. When you add people to the theme table on here, so we've got about 20 people or so in here, the team grids will adjust itself for the number of people in the theme table. And so you can see that we've got 22 people in here at the moment. So if you add lots of more people, add several people into the theme table, you need to then refresh the team grid, which is the refresh page button up here, and that will then grow the team grid to be able to accommodate the extra people in the theme table. So if you've added some people to the theme table and you can't see them in the team grid, then just click on the refresh page button and that'll just reset everything for you. And also, if it all goes horribly wrong in the team grid and some of the linkages get dropped between here and the theme table, the refresh page will restore all the formula for this particular page. There's lots and lots of customization you can do with this page, including sort of how many themes you want to show on here, and whether you want to even show no themes at all. That's certainly possible. You can show just the bottom 5. Whole load of different combinations you can do with the range on here. And you've got all the calculations which happen. And so I do get asked a few times, what do the different colors here mean? That the blue and the green numbers, what do they mean? And so just to sort of explain that briefly, the green ones identify the top 5 themes for this team. So we can see we've got 11, 9, and then 3 at 6 on here. So it's identified those top 5 themes. The blue ones all say 1, and they are showing the themes of uniqueness. So for example, significance, only one person has a theme of significance, or input, for example, there's only one person with input. So it's just identifying where only one person has that theme. And of course, that's true for either top 5 or top 10, and the numbers will adjust accordingly for that. Another question I get asked is, just going back to this example, we've got a number of themes at 6, where we've got 6 occurrences, but also why is it picked on individualization, but not empathy? And also Maximizer's got 6 as well. And how does it know which one to pick on that, or is it at random? get asked that question quite a bit. In fact, there are some calculations which go a bit deeper than just counting how many occurrences there are. It also looks at the position. So for example, maximizer for these people is 5, 5, 4, 4, 5, and 4. So it's in that level. Whereas if you look at say developer, they are positions 2, 2, 4, 1, and 2, and 2. So that's higher up for people. And so that's why developer has been chosen and not maximizer. So it does go a little bit more granular into that to get the best top 5 results it can. We've got the domain totals on the right-hand side. So this is totaling how many themes there are in each domain for each person. And so that's a nice sort of broad chart just to be able to show us what we have. And you can also sort by these as well. So if you, for example, wanted to find all the people who've got all the influencing themes, you can just say sort largest to smallest, and then it'll immediately put at the top those people who've got the most number of influencing themes. Really helpful if you've got a really big group and you want to just try and identify some people who've got maybe a certain theme or maybe a certain domain where they're strong. So it's good to be able to do that. And of course, if you just wanted to select purely the people who've got strategic thinking themes, just take out the blank, go OK on that, and then you will just find those people who've got strategic thinking themes. Did that work? I need to take out the 0, right. So just the people who've got strategic thinking themes are then shown on the grid. So if you wanted to refine your list by theme or by domain, you can certainly do that. If you do a lot of filtering, you can do filtering on several different columns to get the number of people you want. There's a clear filters button, and so you can just click on that and that will just reset the filters for you. With this, we show the domains starting with strategic thinking on the left and executing on the right. Gallup show theirs in a different order, with executing first and strategic thinking on the right hand side. And the reason why Gallup do that is purely because it's in alphabetical order. There's no other reason than that. And so they start with executing. Whereas within Cascade, we like to go a little bit deeper with this and look at the relationships between each of the different domains. And so we have what we call here our domain contributions. And just very, very briefly, I've got a whole blog post about this if you want to go deeper on this. The strategic thinking is all about the what. What has happened in the past, what is happening now, and what needs to happen in the future. And it's all about gathering information and facts and figures. The influencing domain is all about the why, taking the what and finding the compelling message as to why we need to do what's being suggested. The relationship building domain is all about the who, looking at who we need to involve and who is the best person for each task. And then finally, the executing domain is all about the how. How exactly are we going to do it, and how is it best done? And putting the domains in this order helps to create a little bit of flow between the domains and a little bit of synergy of how they relate together. And I certainly find when I introduce the team grid, introduce the domains first, and before you actually show the delegates or your clients their themes amongst the domains, so they can get an understanding of the domains, how they operate, how they work together. And then second stage, they then see how their themes fit in to that model of those 4 domains. What we do have on here is that some people like to mirror the Gallup order, so they have executing at the front. There is a button on the left-hand side here. You can just click on that, and that will then just magically just flick those 2 domains across from one side to the other. So that's the Gallup order, which they have it so starting with executing, but we just like to have it so that it's starting with strategic thinking on there. As I said, I've got a blog post which goes deeper into sort of the domains, how they fit together, and that's all on my website if you want to learn any more about that. Just going to pause there for a moment, just in case there are any questions I've missed in the chat. I don't know if there is anything, Charlotte, there happening at the moment.
I think you covered most of them. Leo was obviously asking, it looked like you were sharing a different version, and I think based on this morning's session I said it was coming. I assume that's right, is it, Richard?
Yes, so the current version out at the moment is 5A. Let's just jump back to the menu for a moment. So the version number here is at the top. It's always 2.0. And so it's 5A, which is the current version. This version here is 5B. And so it's got some subtle changes. And I'll be showing you one or two of those little bits later on here. And it's also got the new branding with the new Cascade logo on there. And that's a new format that we're trying to roll out across all our different products and things on there. So 5B will be coming out sometime in November. I was hoping that it could come out in October in time for this session, but there's been some other things that have got in the way, so we've had to move that back to November.
Richard, I had a question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, just on the versions. If we buy it today, for example, and will the updated version update on the version that we buy? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. And so if you were to buy it today, then you get free updates for the first year. So any updates that come out, you can get those automatically and free. And I will come on to later on how you actually download your update, because you can download it from within Cascade and get the latest version from there. So you can then always keep up to date with that.
Richard,
I may add to that. Sorry. If I may add, it's so simple with Richard. He's dealing so easily and fluently with that. So if there is anything, he just, shares it with you. He shares how to upload the latest version, everything. So it's really, the sooner you can get it, the better it is for you and your work.
Thanks, Nicole.
Okay, so actually, while we're talking about the update, let's move on to that piece. So in the modules area here of the menu, there is a button at the bottom which you can just click on, and that will then immediately download the latest version for you of Cascade. So what we do when we do a version update is we update all your Cascade files this end. It's an overnight process. We just leave it running overnight, and the computer just chunks away and does it all, and then it's available for you to then download. Just by clicking on the button there, that goes straight into the new version. And then once you're into the new version of Cascade, it's a matter of going into the theme table, import theme, click on the import themes, find your previous version of Cascade, and then it just sucks all your clients across. And then that's the upgrade process. So we try and keep it as simple as we possibly can on that, so that you can move from one version to the next. And we do new versions approximately every 3 months. So there'll be about 3 or 4 a year on that. So we're adding new features. So we've covered the team grids on here. I'm just trying to think. I don't think there's any more we can cover on here, apart from the fact it's very easy to change the logo. So you can right click on this logo, you can then change the picture and then select your own logo from a file on here, which is nice and easy. And also for any team reports, you can put a team name into the menu here. And then when we go into the team grids, no, I don't want that. You can then see the menu at the see the title at the top on here, and so this team title will appear then on each of the team reports.
Show that again. Where that was?
So this is in the menu. We've got you can enter a heading for the team reports, and you'll just type it into this space here. And so if you're working with a team, you just have to put the team name in once, and then it appears on the team grid as we've just seen. And then if we move to the team summary, you'll see that it says the team name here at the top as well. Just sort of what I was saying earlier about the top 5 themes for the team, it picks up the top 5 themes on the team summary reports, which it puts on here. And you can see here we've got lots of themes all rating at 6 occurrences, but obviously it's used the positioning of the themes to work out which ones to include in the top 5 on there. Some of you may or may not have realized if you're working with a team, you can easily just include the names if you want to. There's a button here just to include that. So you can either have the names included or you can turn them off. It's entirely up to you what you want to have with this report. on there. Team profiles, I don't think we've changed anything on team profiles at the moment. You just click on the insert names and it just pulls in the first 16 people from the team grid, and then immediately you've got their different profiles. So it's quite a nice, easy report to see this. So you can see which domain they're coming from with their top 5 themes. That's a nice colorful report, which is quite visual, which a lot of people like to see as well on here.
Richard, one question. Do we also have the option in the team grid and also in these reports just to show the first name?
Good question. I'm just going to click on it to get rid of it. Right. Okay.
Because I saw it on the old Gallup thing that we could sort of do, that it was split up in name and last name, and this was one thing that I saw. I think it's not possible yet.
Not yet, but it's a nice idea, and I do like it. And I think it's something that we'll have to see whether we can add that. We can certainly do it on the table tent, and you can say whether it's a full name or whether it's just a first name only. That's certainly available here on the table tent, but we don't have that available anywhere else. But I do like that suggestion. So thank you, Marisol. Really helpful for that. And I've just made a quick note of it. So we will add that into the into the list of things to do. That's what I like about these sessions. It's really good to hear the suggestions and ideas and feedback so that we can then make improvements. It is possible actually to hide the name. So if you're working with a team grid and you just want to just hide their names, you can just make them anonymous. So if you want to publish the team grid, talk about the team grid, but you don't actually want to have their names included, there's a button here where you can just hide the client names. So that's a small feature which some people may or may not have come across on there. Something I can show you on the All 34 report on here. We were doing a session the other day, and it's possible with this report. Obviously, you can select people's names from the list on here, and then you've got little radio buttons at the top. And if you select somebody's radio button and then select on the top 5, it'll then highlight their top 5 themes and then highlight where their top 5 themes lie for everybody else on this page. So it's quite handy if you're working with a small group of people, and you can take just up to 6 people on this page to see how their themes relate to the other people in the team. And one suggestion we had on the last session we were talking about a week or so ago was, this is for top 5, can we do 6 to 10? And so we've done that. So we can then look at the theme 6 to 10 for a particular person and then see where they lie for everybody else. And then the next suggestion was, can we do it for bottom 5? And so, yes, we can. And so the bottom 5 are highlighted, and then you can see where those themes again come for everybody else. So for example, this person here has got communication right at the bottom, but there are 2 people who've got communication right at the top. So that's an immediate opportunity there for collaboration. And obviously what you can do as well with this is you can choose which themes you want to highlight. So at the moment it's included, but if you say you wanted to change it to input, then you can just change it to input on there. So you've got choices to customize the selections as well. You don't have to have any selections at all, or if there's just one theme you really want to emphasize, you can just pick out one theme. So you've got lots of flexibility with this, so you can see where themes appear in relation to other people. As a little coaching tip, if you're doing a one-on-one session, you could put your 34 themes down here, and then the person you're coaching, their 34 themes there, and then how do they compare? How do they line up? How much your perspectives affect or govern the coaching session that you're going to run?
Richard, can I just ask on this one? I know you said it's just for 6. I've got a team of 7 next week that I'm hoping to do more stuff with. And what do you suggest?
You could do 2 pages, so 1 page of 3 and 1 page of 4 would get you 7 on that. So that would work. We can't get any more than 6 on here because of getting all the themes in there. Otherwise the text will be just so small you won't be able to read it. on there. It's a limitation factor with this. And Nicole, this does work with German. We've been able to get all the German themes in here, so that's certainly possible to have that in here as well.
Danny, the other thing that you could do is just cut and paste. So you could do a snip and a paste into, say, a PowerPoint document, so that you do actually all have them on one page. So I've had that before. If you're just wanting to just display it, but otherwise, clients are normally quite happy with 2 pages, and you could do 4 on one and 3 on another, and just put them together.
Yeah, that's a good idea with a copy and paste. And certainly if you're doing anything with PowerPoint, the best way to get these Cascade reports into PowerPoint is to use the screen snipping tool. So you're in PowerPoint, you do, I think, insert screen snip, and then have Cascade up as big as you can on the biggest screen you can. Find or highlight the area that you want to show, and then just pop that straight into PowerPoint.
And how would you do it as a 3 and a 4 or for an 8? How would you do that in this slide?
So what you could do is that you could, if you're creating 2 reports, is you would say you pick your 3 or 4 people here, and then create your PDF, and then save that as your PDF, and then you can select your other people and then save another PDF after that as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's just move on to the menu part for the moment on here. And we're just talking about creating PDFs. And just so that you're aware, if you say, for example, in the team grid, we select a team, where should we go this time? We've got quite a few people from the UK. So let's go to London on here. So we've just got the London people here. So we've got a small team of 5 people. And then in the menu, we've got 5 people here, it says in the team grid. If we wanted to print a personal insights report for each of those 5 people, we can select on here, print reports for whole team. And then if I was to select, click on a print button, it would then print 5 copies of this personal insights report, 1 for each person in the team grid. Likewise, it would create 5 PDFs as well. So very, very quick, very, very easy to create a batch of team reports. And if you've got a team of 20 people, what you're doing a workshop for, you don't have to click on print 20 times. You can do it all as one operation with that. A lot of these features I'm talking about, they are part of the bonus pack. And so you would need the bonus pack to be able to create PDFs, to see the team summary, or to go beyond the top 5 themes. And so 80% of people, when purchasing Cascade, get the bonus pack, and out of the remainder, half of them come back later for it. So I would definitely recommend getting the bonus pack on that. With that, if you want to just check whether you do have the bonus pack, if you go into the modules area, there's an area for bonus pack, and if it's ticked, yes, you've got the bonus pack. So that's one way of quickly checking on that. For the languages, if you're interested in any of the different languages that we have, if you've ordered the language pack, you can then put in your language code, click on activate. That just activates that language for you. So we've got French and Spanish already there, and German is coming very, very soon. And so if you've got the language pack activated, you can then select, let's do a little bit of German in here as well. You can select firstly for the reports to appear in German on here, and you can also choose to have the theme names in German. So it's a 2-step process, because I know certainly with the French, sometimes they like to use the English theme names and the French text, and whereas other languages, they may want to use the local language theme names as well as the local language text. So you select the languages you want, click on apply, and that will then do the necessary conversion and then have everything ready. It takes a little bit longer with the German one because it's just doing a few extra tweaks as well. So now we can go into one of the reports, and we can see here that everything is now in German. I must say my knowledge of German is very, very limited, and I'm absolutely dependent on Nicole, Marisol, Ralph, and her team to help me with this. So we can again go to the team grid, and you will see, yes, there we have some lovely long theme names in here. And so everything here is represented in German. So let's just go back to English. We do have English US and English UK. So those of us in the UK or outside the US who want to use the Queen's English, then we have special permission from Gallup to be able to do that. So we've got the right S's and Z's and U's and various other letters. So it's got the UK English spelling on that. The theme names do stay the American theme names, so the Z in individualization and in maximizer. So we stick with the standard American format for that. Right, I'm just going to pause there for a moment to see if there are any questions. And
one question, when we first started, I haven't done it for a while, but there was always with PDFs and saving, there was some issues with if you had a Mac or something. Is that dissolved? Is it that sort of, I can just do PDFs and print without a problem?
Okay, let's just go over the PDF side of things briefly. I'll just cover the Windows bit first, and then I'll come on to Mac. So with Windows, all you do to set up the PDF area, and just as a reminder, you've got the PDF buttons on each of the reports. You can just click on those, and it creates the PDF. But to set it up, it's just a matter of clicking on Insert Path. And then for Windows, it puts in the current path of where the Cascade file is located. Now, you can, for Windows, do any path you like on here, and it really doesn't matter. And so, for example, I'm just going to bring up Windows Explorer piece on here, and if you want, so you can browse to any of the any folder that you want, and then if you click on the white space to the right of the folder bar, it then gives the DOS file format on here. You would copy that, and then you would then paste that into the folder path, and then you can use that folder path. It's always worth clicking on the test path button, because that just creates a very small PDF just to test that works, and it also just sort of deletes it afterwards, so it cleans things up, but it just checks that the process works. So it's worth doing that. On a Mac, it's slightly different, because there's been a little bit of an argument between Apple and Microsoft, and the result being is that any file which is created automatically from any of the Office applications has to go in the library area right in the depths of the Mac computer. And so it automatically puts in that library folder and a Cascade folder coming off that on a Mac. And what we do have is that we do have some help very specifically for that. So you can set up an alias or a shortcut on your Mac desktop to be able to get to that folder quickly. So when you create the PDFs, you can then quickly and easily go and find them. Incidentally, when you do click on the Insert Path button, that's where it identifies whether you've got a Mac computer or a Windows computer, and it does actually change some of the pieces up here and redirects the help a little bit more so that it takes you into the right area, which is applicable for your type of computer. So we try and help you with that. There's lots and lots of help we've got on our website, and you can click on the green help buttons or on the green question marks we've got as well. And so you can then see where you can get some help. And we updated our website a few weeks ago. And so the help area, you can easily just type in any particular question you have, click on enter there, and it'll then come up with a whole list of possible things that you want to look at on say this particular subject of PDF. So there's lots of help on our website. There are lots and lots of help topics as well down the left hand side. So feel free to browse through those to find more information which might help. We also created a nice sort of easy menu at the top, so you can quickly get to the different reports and work out what you need to do or get to any area within our website very, very quickly and easily. So do feel free to do that. And we've also got a link on to our Facebook group. So do join our Facebook group if you want to. There's lots and lots of things happening on that at the moment. And so you're welcome to sort of join in the conversations that we have there. And we're going to have various discussions on that. Probably there'll be talk about new reports before they actually come live. So in fact, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a secret. In the theme advantage area, the VUCA report has been really, really popular. But also next week, I'm going to start a conversation which is going to be talking about a brand new report, which is performance sequence. And we'll reveal a bit more about that. We've been working with another coach who's done a lot of work in that area. And together we've put a worksheet in Cascade. And so that's something new we'll talk about next week. And then that will appear in the new version of Cascade, which comes out middle of November sometime. Right.
Richard, may I ask one thing?
Yes.
These advantages, I was looking for this WUCA. I cannot find it in my version. Is that because of my version, the version I have? Or what's the reason for that?
We introduced it, I think, in 4E. So if you've got a version less than 4E, and the version numbers at the top here, then it may not be in your version. But if it's in one of your German test version, the German test versions that you have, it should be in there. So have a look. But if you haven't got it, let me know, and then I can help you with that. Yeah.
Okay. And are you going, just a short question, are you going to translate these things in German as well? Because if I'm trying to produce a report, everything is just in English.
Okay, so with the languages, we have all the reports in all the different languages, except for the theme advantage. There's a lot of information within this, and I think we'll have to do a separate project, perhaps creating some PDFs or something that you can use for that. Yep.
That would be awesome. I think Marisol and Ralph, we would be happy to help you with that.
Okay, I've done some work with Florence on the French side of things, so maybe we can do something similar with the German ones on that. Yep. Okay, thank you. Right, I'm just looking down my list to see if there's anything else I need to include. Are there any questions about any other aspects or any areas that you struggle with, not quite sure how it works, or any other aspects?
With the reports, Richard, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 that are kind of individual PDFs. Is there a way of collating them so you just get one file which are kind of page numbered, and somebody can get all of those reports in one go?
At the moment, the best way of doing that is actually collate it through something like Acrobat, or you can actually merge the PDFs together. You can't do that within Cascade at the moment, but it is a project that we do have on our horizon that we want to find a way so you can actually create a whole package of reports all in one bundle. And so that's certainly something we're looking at with that. What we do have, and we have something special for you here, because you're here today, and this is something we don't advertise on our website at all, and that is in the maintenance code for the modules page. If you type in WBC, and this stands for workbook cover, and you type in WBC and then go, and it'll say, do you want to show the workbook cover tab? And we say yes. And then what it does is there is now a new button here in the menu. And there's also a cover tab at the bottom here. So if we go into the workbook cover, what this does, this is a one sheet which you can use as a cover page. So if you're creating a pack of reports for people, you can then create and personalize it. So you've got their name and their top 5 themes, and then you can brand it with your workshop, your logo, your company details, and everything else like that, and use that as a nice front page for when they come into the room and they see the booklet with their name and their themes on it. So that is my gift.
So remind me, how'd you get to that? Beg your pardon.
So in the modules area, just type in the code WBC for workbook cover. Okay. We don't advertise that anywhere, but it's just a little treat that we can give to you guys who turn up to these sessions. Also, something which may be more relevant to you is that all the reports are designed in letter-sized paper and A4 sized paper. And so what we do, a little bit of customization when anybody orders Cascade, or we prepare Cascade for you. If you're in the US or in Canada, it is letter size paper. Anywhere else in the world, it is in A4 size. But there may be a time when you need to change it from one size to the other. You can go into each report and then through the print settings, change it from one paper size to the other, but you would have to do each of the different reports, and there are probably about 15 different tabs you need to change on that. So we've made it a little bit easier. So what you can do is you can just literally type in A4 and go, or letter and go in here, and that will then convert all the report pages into that paper size. So that's quite helpful if you do need to, if you have an issue with the different paper sizes on that. It does take a few minutes just to go through, so I'm not going to actually run it now, but it's a quick and easy way to actually get all the pages so they come out on the right type of paper for you.
So Richard, with the workbook that you just showed, then we have one, and then you put the workshop title and so on into one, and then it does that for all the others also, or how does that work?
Yes, that's right. So you would put your workshop title in here and your name, and you would customize these black areas on here. The part that changes is the person's name and their top 5 themes. Okay. So if you're in the menu and then you print out, say, the workbook cover for everybody in the team grid, it will show for each of them the standard information about the workshop, your branding, your logo, your pieces on there, but their name and their top 5 themes will change for each of the different reports.
Cool, that's great.
Richard. Okay, so I've been using Cascade for a while, love it. Okay, one thing I'm going to ask, and I don't know how easy it is, editable PDF. Because right now this is made for paper. So for example, I have the Team Advantage piece. I can't edit the PDF. Is there an easy way to do that?
Good question. I think the best way for the moment to do it is to have some form of PDF editor, which you can then use. Or you can, if you've got the one of the Acrobat's software packages, you can then convert it so that it is then an editable PDF from that. But from within Cascade, all it can do is just purely create the PDF in a raw read-only format.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Richard, hi, it's Claire Scanlon. I just popped. How are you? Good. This is fantastic, Richard. I'm loving this session. I just popped up a question, and I think I just thought it'd be better if I explain. Same as Leo, I think we are all at the moment working online and through Zoom, and I'm trying to create my own workbook at the moment. Is it possible to share Cascade with individual clients and just select certain pages that they see? So rather than them seeing the team grid, just show them their own profile. What I'm trying to create is an online workbook whereby I can share my work that I do, the work that they do, the homework, all together in one place. And I love this workbook cover now because it's actually accelerated what I want to do. But I'm 5 years now coaching, and what I'm finding is I have bits and pieces of everything everywhere, rather than everything in one central place. And if Cascade can help me put everything together in one place, then this would be fantastic. So a slight follow on from Leo's question as well is, can we share pages of Cascade with clients individually rather than the whole workbook?
Okay, good question. What I'm just doing here at the moment is that I've picked out, and I've just realized I picked out the wrong bits, a whole series of PDFs. And what I've actually done, just so you can see what I've done, I've just got a whole list of PDF reports in a particular folder. I've ticked the ones that I want to show, and I've just clicked on enter for them. And that has then opened up all those reports in different tabs. And if you wanted to show a selection of reports to a client online, you can then very quickly and easily navigate between the different tabs to show them the information. And as you can see, this is all in the old colors and things. That's why it's the wrong one. So that's one way of possibly doing it. And I must say, we've actually done an update since these particular reports. Instead of them just saying the word Cascade, it actually gives the name of the report. So it gives the name of the person or the report name in there as well. So if you want to share a lot of reports, this is probably the easiest way to do it.
Brilliant. Now, sorry, kind of to follow on from that, if I want to share, for example, one of the worksheets with them on performance or managing people or, you know, powerful partnerships, I currently click their name, create the PDF, send it to them. They write their homework on it, or their, you know, their findings, and then I get them to send that back to me. So what I'd like to do is when they send that back to me, be able to pop it back into Cascade again. So create this one place where I can record all this information on Chris P. Bacon, that I have everything he's working on, I'm working on, what we're working on together in one central place. Because right now I literally have a file in my folders, in my, you know, download, or in my documents, and a file on my laptop for each person. And what I'm trying to do is create someplace completely central for everything.
Okay, yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. The way Cascade is done within Excel, it doesn't really lend itself to that in that sort of way that you're describing on there. It's more just generating the initial reports just as a setup, rather than the actual file and information storage of it. Then, of course, if you've got the upgrade process moving into a new version of Cascade, then there's a potential that you might lose all that information in there as well. So it's how it's actually stored with that. So the way Cascade is written, it's not really lending itself to what you're asking for on that at the moment. Obviously, what you can do is you can scan those or save those in different folders for each of your different clients, but not within Cascade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Richard, that could be a new bonus pack. So an individual pack. So, you know, I see where she's coming from. So you have a file.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions or any more areas or any other aspects that you would find helpful to cover and things at this point in time?
Richard, I had a question, but it might be an offline error just on my side. When I do try and import a file, because I normally just cut and paste, and now I thought, well, I'll test it. I get theme range not found error. Is that an offline one, or is that an easy fix one?
That error would usually occur if it can't recognize the file format that you're trying to import. So I don't know whether it's come directly from Gallup or whether it's been tweaked slightly or whether it's come from a different source or something like that.
Yeah, it's a different source. So it'd be like an export from Calendly where people have entered their name and their themes, and then you know, everything's in the right column, but it just doesn't like it. But that's fine. I can still cut and paste.
Okay, yes, that's probably the easiest way if you're doing it like that. Cascade will recognize about 8 different layouts, 6 from the Gallup portals and 2 from different Cascade options and things. But if it's come from Calendly, it could be in any layout on there. So that's why it doesn't recognize it.
Oh, good.
Okay, I've covered everything I need to cover on here. Happy to respond and answer any questions and things that you may have, or just hear about how you're using Cascade in some of your areas or some of your other workshops, or if you feel that you're using Cascade in perhaps slightly different way, in a creative way, what do you do with it?
I'm just going to add that a question came up this morning. Somebody was asking about you know, how they maybe share the power of 2 with their customers in a virtual environment. And Corinne from New Zealand was sharing how she uses Miro, and other people were sharing how they use Muriel. So Claire, I guess to your point where we maybe just posted in there, oh, what about Trello? Would that work? I think we're just looking at setting up some sessions where, you know, like Corinne's an expert on Miro. You know, Leo's pretty awesome on things like Jamboard and Trello. I think we're going to look at setting up some sessions where, oh, you know, what happens if you use these other platforms to share things specific to Cascade. So watch this space for some of those. And obviously, if anybody wants to host them, very happy for you to host them. But yeah, just watch that space for that one.
Okay, if you're not part of the Facebook group, do head over to that. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be announcing a few things there, and we've got quite a few discussions going on with that at the moment. We've got our regular newsletter that goes out approximately every month on that, so that will tell you when there's a new features coming up or new releases coming out and that side of things. And we love to share your stories. So that if you've got a story where you've used a particular report, we shared recently Marianne Grisham was sharing how she uses the VUCA Theme Advantage worksheet with a client and the benefits it makes on a client. If you've got a story like that, we'd love to include that in that. And obviously we can help to raise your profile a little bit in the coaches community as well on that as well. So do feel free to get in touch about anything like that. And if you've got a very specific requirement, I'm very open with my calendar to set up a Zoom session so we can have a one-on-one session and go through anything particular that you need to cover as well.
Rich and I were talking both this morning and just before we joined this session about how nice it might be to set up monthly, regular things like this on Cascade. And it would be a lovely opportunity for other people to host it as well. So as I say, I don't need to host them all the time. My command shows up in terms of I host in the absence of somebody else, but it does not need to be me. So if anybody does, would like the opportunity and go, yeah, I'd love to kind of host them and share them, then please do just, let Richard know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Richard, can I just jump in for a second? And I just wanted to throw this out there because it's a slightly new. I'm starting with an Enterprise Ireland program next week. It's 21 female entrepreneurs, so it's going to be interesting for me. They normally meet together, but obviously this is all virtually. So I'm going to be using Cascade to its maximum, but in a different environment, that they're not actually a team. They're all working individually on their own businesses and developing their business plan. But I'm really excited about how I can use Cascade to help them leverage each other's talents and strengths as individual female entrepreneurs. So the inclination mightn't be there as quickly to collaborate in a team, but I think with using the tool and all the add-ons that you have, it's going to make it so much more interesting for me and for them. So they're all on their own journey. I'm really excited, Richard, to start using your upgrades and the way I can help them actually leverage each other, because they're going to have to work together offline to help each other as well while building their own businesses.
And I think a couple of things that might help with that is using perhaps the All 34 report, where you can see all 34 themes for them side by side. And that's where they can see, well, somebody's got some themes at the bottom, somebody else has got those same themes at the top. That's an ideal opportunity for collaboration. And a really good example of that is Charlotte and I. So Charlotte's using her Wooer, Ranger, Command and everything else like that, all the stuff that I don't have. And so she's setting up all these sessions, and then I'm coming along and running them, or not running them, but just sort of giving the information for them. So that's a great partnership that we've got set up. Geography is no issue at all because we're opposite sides of the world, time zones, we've been able to conquer that one. But it just shows how two people working independently can still work together on that. So I think with the ladies you're working with, yeah, do get them to do that. And I know that my communication's right down the bottom. So when I do my newsletters, I just do a rough draft, give it off to a virtual PA. She's got communication near the top. She sorts it all out for me, makes it look nice and pretty, and then it goes out to the audience.
Cool.
Okay, are we pretty much complete on that? We've got a little bit more time if you want to stay on, if there is anything else, but I just really want to thank you for your time today. Thank you for your interest in Cascade. Thank you for all the wonderful support that you give, and it's really helpful. And what we're trying to do is just trying to listen to what the coaching community is wanting, and then how we can respond and how we can really help you guys deliver the best coaching you can. And so if we can take away some of the admin overheads, then you can focus more on your coaching elements. Anything you want to add, Charlotte?
No, other than to say thank you for joining in, and particularly Richard, thank you very much for giving up your time and sharing, and look forward to seeing some of you guys on some future sessions as well. And if there's anything in particular that you want to see, then let us know and we'll set it up. If there's anything in particular you want to share, let us know and we'll help you publicize it. So that's what this coaching community is about, sharing, connecting and helping each other.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I will say have a great day, a great morning, a great sleep. William, I would imagine for you, surely you should be in bed by now, or you've woken up really early for this session. So enjoy your day, evening, whatever it might be.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Bye.
You convinced to buy it yet, Danny?
I've just bought it.
Yay!
Oh, fantastic.
Sale well on the line. Yeah, I've just pressed purchase order. So yeah,
Okay.
I'm in. Thank you so very much. Yeah, so you made a sale while you're on. So,
Oh, well, thank you. Just give me a few moments to sort of finish this, and then I'll respond and send it off to you.
Richard, no pressure, because I was actually just looking at my diary, because I'd love to set up a one-to-one with you at some stage, but this week's a bit bananas. I'm sure it's for you, but yeah, I'd love to do that next week if we can.